Bu Jingfeng was well aware that different elemental attributes usually repel each other, a fundamental principle known to every martial artist. Drenched in sweat, he struggled to make sense of the situation before him. To him, attribute fusion had always been a mere myth, especially the idea of merging the powers of thunder and fire. Yet, right in front of his eyes, it was undeniably happening. The protagonist's eyes flashed, burning with fire and flickering with lightning, as he lunged forward in a sudden blur. Alarmed, Bu Jingfeng raised his sword, preparing a flame slash to intercept and repel the incoming strike. But before their weapons could even clash, the protagonist unleashed a massive surge of combined lightning and fire from his spear. The blast hit Bu Jingfeng dead on, sending him spiraling through the air. As he flew backward, bloodied and out of control, he realized just how absurd the protagonist's strength truly was. The force was so violent that it smashed through the building's structure, launching Bu Jingfeng completely out of the dormitory. The lightning and fire surrounding the protagonist's spear slowly flickered out. At that moment, a notification appeared. His martial value had increased by 7 points. Standing amidst the settling smoke of his ruined room, the protagonist allowed himself a small smile. He had finally reached the martial value required to become a spirit master. Checking his status panel, he saw that his total martial value had reached 497. Only seconds before this happened, Grandmaster Qin and Bai Mu were standing a short distance away from the dormitory. Grandmaster Qin was convinced the fight was over and that Bu Jingfeng had already defeated the protagonist. He had even prepared several arguments to convince the young man to stop trying to master multiple guidance techniques at once, planning to set him straight tonight. However, both them suddenly looked up as a loud explosion rocked the top of the dormitory, and a body was flung downward. It slammed violently onto the ground in front of them, revealing a bloodied and unconscious Bu Jingfeng. Bai Mu gasped in shock, shouting Bu Jingfeng's name. As he looked at the fallen fighter, the reality of the situation set in. If Bu Jingfeng was the one lying on the ground, it meant the protagonist had won. Before they could recover from the shock, 3 more rooms in the dormitory exploded. 3 more figures plummeted and crashed before them. As the smoke cleared, the 4 powerful martial artists they had personally sent were all lying defeated. From the wreckage above, Lin Xinghei's voice rang out. There was a hint of amusement in his tone as he addressed Grandmaster Qin, telling him that next time, he should send someone stronger, as these men weren't enough of a challenge. Wang Tiantuo, however, noticed something odd. By their count, they had only taken down 3 opponents, yet 4 bodies were lying in front of Grandmaster Qin. This led Xiao Yan to ask why there was an extra person on the ground, wondering if someone had beaten them to it and finished that one off even faster. Lin Xing joked that the extra martial artist must have been weak, which was why he fell so quickly. Bai Mu was struck with intense shock and disbelief at Lin Xinghei's words, because the weak person they were talking about was Bu Jingfeng, the strongest of the 4. Grandmaster Qin was lost in thought. He knew that Wang Tiantuo and Lin Xing were Tier 1 late stage, while Xiao Yan was already a spirit master, so it was normal for them to win. But the protagonist was only a Tier 1 initial stage. Against a quasi-Tier 2 martial artist like Bu Jingfeng, the boy had not only won but had finished his fight faster than Wang Tiantuo and the others. He agonized over how the protagonist had pulled it off. He wondered if the boy was using a top-tier martial skill or perhaps possessed an extraordinary physical constitution. His train of thought was interrupted when one of his subordinates, Lin Zi, came rushing toward them, shouting that something huge had happened. Grandmaster Qin assumed a trainee had accidentally been killed and remarked that such things were normal. Lin Zi immediately corrected him, his voice nearly a shout. He revealed that while fighting Bu Jingfeng, the protagonist had used a fusion guidance technique. Grandmaster Qin finally understood the true reason behind Bu Jingfeng's defeat. The protagonist had successfully utilized a fusion guidance technique. The result no longer surprised him, but in the next heartbeat, his temper flared, and smoke practically billowed from his nose. His energy surged uncontrollably as he gripped Lin Zi's shoulders, demanding he repeat what he said and warning him not to speak such nonsense. Trembling, Lin Zi stood his ground and confirmed everything. He stated that he had clearly seen it on the surveillance footage. The protagonist had combined thunder and fire attribute guidance techniques to take down Bu Jingfeng. He added that if Grandmaster Qin still doubted him, he could check the recordings himself or ask the broken fighter lying on the ground. Struggling to speak, Bu Jingfeng himself whispered a confirmation. It was true, a dual attribute fusion of thunder and fire had been used against him. Grandmaster Qin's emotions reached a boiling point as he repeatedly patted Lin Zi's shoulder in shock. He remarked that the only genius in human history to ever master a dual-attribute fusion took 19 years to achieve it. Yet, according to the Star City Association's records, the protagonist had known these 7 guidance techniques for less than a month. To Qin, this was no longer a mere human, it was a monster. At the same time, he wondered if this was a blessing from the heavens, a true dragon finally emerging into the world. Intrigued, Bai Mu asked Grandmaster Qin just how powerful attribute fusion really was. Could it truly allow a Tier 1 initial stage fighter to defeat a Tier 2 martial artist like Bu Jingfeng? Grandmaster Qin explained that in the past, martial artists who mastered attribute fusion were capable of suppressing Tier 2 opponents while still being in Tier 1. Bai Mu then questioned why such a powerful combat method was no longer taught. Even if it was difficult, what if someone actually succeeded in the fusion? Grandmaster Qin clarified that many had tried, but they discovered that attribute fusion was not only nearly impossible to master but also carried a high risk of the user destroying their own body. Furthermore, if they remained stuck in the Tier 1 martial artist realm forever because of the difficulty, the power would ultimately be useless. Radiating an intense golden energy, Grandmaster Qin pointed out that the protagonist had achieved a 2-attribute fusion in less than a month. This meant his comprehension was beyond anything they had ever seen. On top of that, he was cultivating 7 attributes simultaneously. If he could merge all of them, exactly how much power would he wield? In his mind, Qin envisioned that if such a monster continued to grow, a single move from him might one day shock the great emperors of the 10,000 races. Lin Zi shook his head at the comment, suggesting that Grandmaster Qin might be overthinking it. Bai Mu added that merging even 2 attributes was an ordeal, so merging 7 seemed like pure fantasy. Suddenly, Grandmaster Qin calmed down and told them to ignore his earlier loss of control. He worried that if they allowed the protagonist to continue cultivating all 7 attributes at once, he might get stuck trying to fuse a third, delaying his breakthrough. If that happened, Qin Tianli felt he would be a sinner against the human race for hindering such potential. Lin Zi then remembered another vital detail. He suggested the protagonist must possess a special constitution, as his raw strength had surpassed Bu Jingfeng's. Grandmaster Qin was startled, demanding to know why such critical information wasn't shared sooner. Bai Mu explained that while the protagonist's vitality was only at 120 points, he had overpowered Bu Jingfeng, who had nearly 500 vitality. Lin Zi added that a 4-fold gap in vitality should be insurmountable, yet the protagonist had shattered that logic. This level of strength even exceeded the barbarian god body of Wang Tiantuo. Grandmaster Qin concluded that the boy must possess a physique that transcended common existence. In the end, Grandmaster Qin decided to organize a martial arts competition for the following day. He wanted to fully test the protagonist's combat power and vitality value. He planned to pit Wang Tiantuo and his group against the protagonist to see what kind of spectacle would unfold when a monster like him faced the top geniuses of the training camp.
The chapter ends here. Watch out for our upcoming uploads. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you'll always be updated on our future videos.